Will Muschamp's brother went to West Point with him. So I was trying to figure out how to get a hold of him and how to talk to him because I just wanted to know about his story. And Will's brother got a hold of him. He was supposed to come to our Texas Tech game and be an honorary captain. We like for our guys to meet special people. And his mother died that week, so he couldn't come. But he sent a message to us that said, just tell the guys that I'll come for the Baylor game. But the message was that you don't control your circumstances, but after you get them, you have to deal with them and make them positives. And that is so true for all of us every day. It's going to be true tomorrow night during the ball game. And he came to the Baylor game, and it was really touching for all of us. Here's a guy with 2 prostheses that he gets up and walks around on, and he doesn't wear long pants because he gets knocked down if people don't know he doesn't have legs. And he also said, this is who I am, so I want people to see who I am. He came back for the Big 12 championship game, and he'll be out here with us tomorrow night. And not as much for the ball game, but for the life lessons. And I think for him to say I was in a group of 250, a roadside bomb hit my truck. I was the only one injured in the 250. I came home, I lost my legs, and I went from being an athlete at West Point, lieutenant colonel leading a group, now I can't walk. So my life's changed. What a great message for our guy that says my hamstring's a little sore, and my ankle's tweaked, and I got a headache. And so I do think there's some things there that we can always show that there's people that are worse off than we are.
Third row on the left.
Yeah, Mack. Bill Roden with the New York Times.
Hey, Bill.
How you doing? Do you ever think, I know you've been asked, and you probably think about coaching at the so-called next level. It seems like there's, coaching with the best players against the best coaches, against players who make more money than you. Is any of that compelling at all, or is this sort of your next level?
No, at one time it was compelling, and I think it would be dependent on if I knew the owner and I trusted the owner. I want to recruit the players that I want to coach. So if I coached somewhere else, I'd have to be in complete control, and I think that's what you get in college football. You get to make the decisions within the structure of your athletic director and your president. But I also was told one time that don't ever coach a player that you can't buy a house in his neighborhood. And that makes sense, because if he makes that much more than you do, I've heard the Joe Namath stories where Dan Henning was coaching him, and Dan jumped on Joe, and the head coach said, okay, now we're selling all these tickets. Are they coming to see you or him? So I do understand it's different.
Back row on the right.
Ruben Pizarro, Spanish Longhorns Radio Network.
Where are you, Doc? There you go, Ruben.
As in every sport, to be successful, you got to be prepared physically, technically, tactically, mentally, and nutritionally. But I want to ask, it's easy to detect when somebody needs something in the technical or tactical side. How do you do to prepare a team to be on the edge of the mental preparation? How do you approach it?
It's complicated, like we said. When you've got that many kids and you have to try to get all of them mentally prepared, you have to. I think the hardest thing about our game is, number one, you have to figure out who you are. You have to reinvent yourself each year because we're not pro football. You have to figure out who to feature. If your best pass rusher is Sergio Kendall, Will's done a great job of putting him in different situations so he can be a pass rusher that is hard for them to find. They can't just say these two guys are going to block him because he'll move him around. Nick does the same thing. I mean, they both do a tremendous job of disguising and putting you in different situations. And then you have to figure out what the task difficulty. What can you handle? We didn't do that very well with our offense against Nebraska. So we're sitting here now. We're playing against a great front, a well-designed defense, a secondary that can cover you man-to-man. So there's a tremendous amount of pressure on our offensive staff to try to figure out what can we do to give our kids the best chance to win the game. And the kids know that. They're not stupid. I mean, they watch and they know. And that's why the coordinators and the head coach are so important when it comes to game planning, because a lot of the confidence that you will have going into the ball game is the feeling that you are prepared and that your coaches give you an edge. And I can remember asking David Thomas, and I know Nick does this with his team, and his team feels this way, and I hope our team feels this way. I asked David Thomas, the tight end for the New England Patriots, why does Bill Belichick win? And he said, all of our players on the team feel like he gives us an edge in the ball game with game plan. And unless coaches do that, then we're not worth what we're supposed to be worth for the kids. They need to feel like they have an advantage with you as the coach going into the game. And to do that, you have to, they're hard. I mean, you have to continually give them opportunities to find ways to be successful on the field, and that's what they expect out of you.
Far right on the aisle.
Coach Christine Brennan, USA Today.
Hey, Christine.
Hi. A few years ago, you had a quarterback who didn't win the Heisman playing against a team with a running back who did.
Who was that?
You might remember. Worked out pretty well.
He was tall, right?
Yeah,
So.
worked out fairly well for you guys. Curious because of the similarity with the situation this year, almost exactly the same, on the same field, the Rose Bowl. Are you using that at all for any motivation for your team?
Again, I think players use whatever they need to individually. If you ask Colt if he'd rather won the Heisman or lost it, if you ask Vince, both of them would say, I'd rather have won. They were very disappointed. Colt was more disappointed last year than he was this year because I think he felt like he had better numbers and, had a better year. But I think when you go back and look at it, what motivation would you need to play a team like Alabama, a team like SC, more than just to play for a national championship? And to me, sitting here as a Texas coach in such a proud program, I'm so proud of the last 6 years because we've played, this will be our fourth BCS game. We've played Michigan, we've played USC, we've played Ohio State, and now to play Alabama. And 2 of those 4 we'd never played before. This has been a good run, and it's fun. And for Colt McCoy to stand on the sideline and watch Vince win a national championship and then 4 years later have his chance, I really don't think that Colt, as positive as he is, I don't think that he would use a negative to motivate. I think he would want to be the national championship quarterback a lot more than he would relish being angry because he didn't win something. Last year, I thought he was upset. I thought Vince was upset because I thought Vince thought he would win it. And I don't like sitting there with the kids. I sat with Ricky Williams when he won the Heisman. I didn't like what happened to the other 3 kids or 4 kids. They have press conferences and they're just crushed. And the same thing with Colt last year. He handled it better this year. The same thing with Vince. It's a very, very disappointing thing. It's a shame that you're one of the best 3 or 4 players in America and feel like you're a loser. And that's a difficult thing for those kids. So I hope I get to go back one time, but I think I go now more in support if he loses than being there if he wins.
Third row on the left.
Mack, Tim Griffin from ESPN.com.
Hey, Tim.
Hey. I wonder if you could talk about your special teams, how important potentially kickoff returns could be, particularly with the return of DJ back into the lineup and Marquise, who's played well while he's been gone.
When you, I talked to a friend of mine that's a professional golfer the other day, and he said, you're going to have to hit most of the fairways and make some long putts and to win this game. And I think that's true. And turnovers become huge in this game, and Alabama's done a great job of protecting the football. Both teams have done a good job of forcing turnovers. Explosive plays are going to be very important. They've got more in the running game, but they can do them in the passing game. Most of ours have come in the passing game. But when there's as much man coverage and blitzing as there will be in disguising going on, there's going to have to be some big plays to win the game because I don't think either team will just run up and down the field. It hasn't happened to either defense all year. And then the kicking game with field position and a chance for an explosive play. So you try to get your fast guys in space with the ball and hope they can make something happen. And you never know in a game like this what's going to turn the game around. We've gone back and looked at our Oklahoma game. We've looked at our Nebraska game because those had similar athletes. Those 2 teams is what we will be playing tomorrow night. And it was funny. We had 7 explosive plays to 1 against Nebraska, but both teams had 3 turnovers. And we lost the kicking game 4-1. Against Oklahoma, we won the kicking game 5-0. The explosives were about the same, and we had 4 turnovers, and they lost 5. So neither one of those games did we protect the ball very well, and that'll be crucial for us to be successful tomorrow night.